Assalomu alaykum, hurmatli o'quvchilar. Hi, dear students. Bugun biz sizlar bilan bo'lmoq fe'li va kasblar haqida gaplashamiz. We will be talking today about the verb to be and occupations. This is Learn Uzbek with Dilnoza, lesson 27. Uzbek darsiga xush kelibsiz. Welcome to the Uzbek language class. Join us to learn Uzbek language and to learn about Uzbekistan every Saturday at 3:30 Mountain Time. You can send me an email and I will send you the Zoom link. Bizlarga o'zbek tilini o'rganmoqchi bo'lsangiz, Zoom orqali qo'shiling. Also, if you know Uzbek or you speak Uzbek, we welcome you to the Uzbek language class. O'zbek tili darsining mehmoni bo'lishni istasangiz, albatta biz sizni kutib qolamiz. Let's start. Expressions with to be. Present tense, hozirgi zamon. Past tense, o'tgan zamon. Va biz bugun sizlar bilan darak gaplar bilan ishlaymiz. We will be using declarative sentences. Let's compare and learn together. Keling solishtiramiz va birga o'rganamiz. To begin with, I wanted to tell you that we want to make sure we understand the difference, right? We have birlik, singular, and we have koplik, plural. Let's conjugate the verb to be. Birinchi shaxs, first person. We say, I am. In English, we use articles. In Uzbek, we don't use them. We use in a different way. We use numbers, or we can say bir kishi. But here we're saying, let's use the word talaba. Talaba here means student. Okay, let's use it in our sentence. I am a student. Men talabaman. As you can see, talaba is a noun plus man, men talabaman. Basically, your am here is your man. Next, we're doing ikinchi shakhs, second person. You are, and remember, in English, you and you are the same. In plural, we use to the group of people, right? In Uzbek, we use separately. You means you, one person, and then also siz as a group, but also siz refers to one person if they're older or you respect them in a respective way. You are a student. Sen talabasan. He, she is a student. And I didn't put a because you could use some different, predicatives. So you could use depending what you're using. So u, in Uzbek, we say he, she, u. U talaba. U talaba. Look, we don't have any ending here. Remember. Koplik, plural. We are students. Biz talabamiz. You are students. Sizlar or siz talabasizlar. They are students. Ular talabalar. In spoken Uzbek, we use lar, but if you, for example, use to be in a written sentence, you could say ular talabadirlar. Dir is a good suffix that we use when we are using in a formal way, okay? So ular talabadirlar, sizlar talabadirsizlar, bizlar or biz talabadirmiz. If somebody asks you, are you a student? You say, yes, I am. Ha, men talabaman. Yo'q, men talaba emasman. Yo'q, I'm not. No, I'm not. And let's talk about now expressions with to be, okay? For example, I'm a widow. Men bevaman. Men bevaman. As you can see, your M here, man. Men bevaman. Yavdava. And let's see how it works in past tense. I was a widow. Men beva bulganman. Men beva bulganman. Here we have to say bulganman. See the change? Because we cannot just say beva ganman, right? We say men bevaman in a present tense. But if you wanted to say in the past tense, you say men beva bulganman. Your was changed here. Ya belavdava. I am the worst. Men ajrashganman. Men ajrashganman, because it happened in the past, right? To be the worst or to get the worst. Я в разводе. I was married. I was married. I was married in, for example, if you wanted to say when. Men, for example, 2010 yılda uylanganman. Я был женат в таком-то году. I was married in men 2010 yılda uylanganman. Usually uylanganman, boys can say that, okay? Not girls. And if I wanted to say as a girl, I would say turmushga chiqqanman. Turmushga chiqqanman. And I'll show you in the next slide. If you wanted to say I am single, men bo'ydoqman. Men bo'ydoqman. Я свободен. Men bo'ydoqman. Usually you can hear from boys. I was single. Men bo'ydoq bo'lganman. If you wanted to use in the past tense. Men bo'ydoq bo'lganman. Can you see here? Bo'lganman, the same thing here. Bo'lganman. Lekin here we say bo'ydoqman because in the present tense. Men bevaman. Men bo'ydoqman because bo'ydoq means single and man means am. Okay, here. Я был свободен. I was single. Men bo'ydoq bo'lganman. Now we will look at inkar gap. Inkar gap means negative sentence, okay? We will be using again present tense. Present, hozirgi zamon, but past, o'tgan zamon. Here, we will use in a different way, okay? First, when we say something I'm not, we say emas man. Remember, we talked men talaba man. Men talaba emas man. I'm not a student. You can see here, or you could use men talaba masman. So two ways to say the same phrase. Men talaba emasman, then you separate your talaba, your noun, right? But if you say men talaba masman, your mas should be added to your noun, talaba. Or if you're using a verb, for example, ajrashmoq, it's a verb, right? To divorce. So that will be ma. Men ajrashmaganman. Men ajrashmaganman. For example, yo'q, men yolg'iz emasman. Can you see here? Men yolg'iz emasman. No, I'm not single. Yo'q, men yolg'iz. Yolg'iz means to be alone, or it means also to be single. I'm not single. Men bo'ydoqmasman. Men bo'ydoqmasman. That's what I'm talking about. You see here, bo'ydoq, and you're adding mas here. If you used emas, then you would use separately. Yolg'iz emasman. Okay, я не свободен. Нет, я не свободен. Now here, I'm not a widow. Men bevamasman. You see here again, men bevamasman. If you wanted to say emas, then you would say men beva emasman separately. Emasman. Я не вдова. I'm not divorced. Men ajrashmaganman. Here we're using ma because we cannot say mas here, okay? Men ajrashmaganman. Я не в разводе. I wasn't married. Men uylanmaganman. Men uylanmaganman. Girls usually say turmushga chiqmaganman. Turmushga chiqmoq, to get married to, or turmush qurmoq, okay, to build a family, to marry. Ajrashmoq as a verb, to divorce or to get divorced. So here you can see men uylanmaganman, or girls would say men turmushga chiqmaganman. Or if you wanted to use in a positive sentence, you could say men turmushga chiqqanman. Men turmushga chiqqanman. Я не был женат if you say ma, but if you don't use ma, then I was married. Я был женат, or я была замужем. I hope it helps. Next, we'll be talking about Kasblar, okay, occupations. So expressions with to be. Also, in the example of occupation. Biz sizlar bilan kasblar to'g'risida gaplashamiz va hozirgi zamon, o'tgan zamonni ishlatamiz. We'll use present and past tense again. For example, we say xodim, xizmatchi, ishchi. Okay, staff, employee, worker in general, if you wanted to call. But if we want to go and call it separately, we say politsiya, police, politsiya, politsiya xodimi. U politsiya xodimi. Okay, he is a policeman. U o't o'chiruvchi. O't means fire. O'chiruvchi means who fights against the fire, right? Firefighter. U domla. Domla or professor. Domla usually when we talk about a man, okay? Domla. U mening domlam. He's my professor. U shifokor or bu shifokor. Shifokor, vrach, doctor, okay? Nurse. She's a nurse. U hamshira. U hamshira. If I wanted to say she works as a nurse, u hamshira bo'lib ishlaydi. Ishlamoq we used already, right? You know from past classes. Ishlamoq means to work. She works as a nurse. U hamshira bo'lib ishlaydi. O'qituvchi. Bu o'qituvchi. This is a teacher. She is a teacher. U o'qituvchi. If I wanted to say pupil or student, we can say o'quvchi. O'qituvchi, o'quvchi. O'quvchilar. Ikkita o'quvchilar. O'quvchilar. U haydovchi. U haydovchi. He's a driver. U, you see we are using u for he and she in Uzbek. But in the picture you can see he or she and say she is a researcher. U tadqiqotchi. U tadqiqotchi. Or remember I talked about u tadqiqotchidir in a written Uzbek, in a formal way if you wanted to say. U haydovchidir. U o'qituvchidir. U shifokordir. U hamshiradir. Now, let's work together on making sentences. Please feel free to stop, okay, repeat, and make sentences on your own. For example, men, and then you add your noun, remember, from to be. Man, I am a. Who are you? Men o'qituvchiman. We just saw the picture, right? Men o'qituvchiman. You're taking your teacher here and you're putting here. Men o'qituvchiman in the present tense. Or muallimaman. Muallim is also a teacher. It's from the Arabic word, so Arabic language. And muallim is a man, but if you say muallima, like I am a teacher, men muallimaman. As soon as we add at the end here, muallima, it becomes female. Otherwise, we say muallim, male. But o'qituvchi, both can be male and female. Men o'qituvchiman. If I wanted to use in the past tense, I would say men o'qituvchi bo'lganman. Men muallim bo'lganman. Men muallima bo'lganman. Okay? Bo'lmoq means to be. Next, you could say men domla bo'lganman or men domlaman. I'm a professor. Okay? I was a professor. O'quvchi. Remember I talked about students or pupils, like with the teacher. Then we say o'quvchi. Learner, or it could be student, student, ученик. Men o'quvchiman. Men o'quvchi bo'lganman. You see, we're again using in the present and past tense. Bo'lganman. Although you may ask me, Dilnoza, why you're not using bo'lmoq in your present tense? Because we cannot say bo'lman. We just say men studentman, men talabaman, men o'quvchiman, men o'qituvchiman. But in the past tense, we have to use it because we cannot just add the ending suffix, okay? Men, for example, shifokor bo'lganman, men shifokorman. Lekin men shifokor bo'lganman. Or you can even say men shifokor bo'lmaganman. In the next title, we'll talk about it to negation, okay? Now, shifokor means doctor. We also use doctor, both. Tadqiqotchi, men tadqiqotchiman. Men tadqiqotchiman. You probably recognize we used them just in the picture here. I wanted to go over again so you know. Men tadqiqotchi bo'lganman. I was a researcher. Men haydovchiman. Men haydovchi bo'lganman. The same thing you could use with our singular and plural forms when you're using personal pronouns, okay? For example, sen shifokorsan. Sen shifokor bo'lgansan. You see how I'm changing in the past tense? Men tadqiqotchi bo'lganman. U, for example, if we're talking about her, she was a researcher. U tadqiqotchi bo'lgan. Okay? Or he was a driver. U haydovchi bo'lgan, or he's a driver. U haydovchi. U haydovchi. Он водитель. So let's say use in plural form. We are nurses. Or biz medik yoki hamshiramiz. Biz hamshira bo'lganmiz. We were nurses. Biz hamshira bo'lganmiz. Can you see I'm just changing personal pronouns, but we're using the same bo'lgan for the past tense, and your mod is changing depending on what personal pronoun you're using, okay? It's from the first slide. Let me show you one more time so you remember. Here, men, sen, u, biz, we, siz, you, ular, they. Politsiya. Ular politsiya bo'lganlar. They were policemen. Yoki you can say they are policemen. Ular politsiya or politsiyachilar, we say. Let's say you as a group, firefighters. You are firefighters. Siz o't o'chiruvchilarsiz. If we wanted to say in the past tense, we say you were firefighters. Siz o't o'chiruvchi bo'lgansizlar. Bo'lgansizlar. Remember sizlar? You were. Okay, I hope it helped you to revise all of our occupation Kasblar from the picture here, and we will continue now. Let's practice. Bu kim? Bu kim? Bu kim means who is this? Bu kim? Birinchi rasmda kim? Bu, guess who? Politsiya. Xodimi or politsiyachi. Bu kim? You see my number 6? Bu kim? Bu o'qituvchi. Bu kim? Bu kim? Bu domla yoki professor. Bu kim? Bu kim? O't o'chiruvchi. You can go back and again try to ask yourself, or if you have a partner, they can ask you, Bu kim? Now let's talk about future tense, okay? And the example of occupation or occupations. Kelasi zaman, future tense, kelasi zaman. We also look at how you could make so'roq gap. So'roq gap, interrogative sentence, right? Using to be. Let's compare and learn together. Keling solishtiramiz va birga o'rganamiz. Again. Askar. Askar. Bu kim? Bu askar. Or if we wanted to go back to my number 4, bu kim? Bu muallif, because she's writing, right? She's an author. Bu kim? Bu muallif. Or u muallif. Bu kim? Sartarosh. Bu kim? Sartarosh. Bu kim? Qutqaruvchi. Bu kim? Qutqaruvchi. But let's read the words so you know how to read them or pronounce. Askar. Askar, soldier. Geolog. Geolog, geologist. Photograph. Photograph, photographer. Author, muallif. Men bu kitobning muallifiman, for example, you could say. Ekskursavod, or sometimes people call tour operator, tour guide, or tour operator, right? Barber, sartarosh. If you wanted to say sartarosh khona, right? It's a place where we do our hair. Sartarosh khona. We're just adding khona means place or room. Sartarosh hona. Sartarosh is a person. Business person or businessman, businesswoman. Tadbirkar. U tadbirkar. U tadbirkar. He, she, both u. We say u tadbirkar. She is a businesswoman. He is a businessman. U tadbirkar. Qutqaruvchi, lifeguard. Again, feel free to stop and play around. Ask your partner or yourself and repeat the words in a sentence. Men, for example, you could again practice and say men. Let's kind of conjugate. Men muallifman, or in the past tense, men muallif bo'lganman. You, sen geologsan. In the past tense, sen geolog bo'lgansan. The same thing you can do with your third person, okay? In the plural form, for example, ular qutqaruvchilar. Ular qutqaruvchi bo'lganlar. Next, let's work here a little bit with so'roq gap. So'roq gap when we're making our questions, interrogative sentences, right? Soldier, askar, we talked about it, right? Men askarmanmi? Men askarmanmi? Yo'q, men askar emasman. Remember, we talk about negative sentences as well in the beginning. Men askar masman, or men askar emasman. Am I a soldier? No, I'm not a soldier. Sen geologsanmi? Sen geologsanmi? Are you a geologist? No. Men geolog emasman. Men geolog emasman. U fotografmi? U fotografmi? Ha, u photograph. Is she a photographer? Yes, she is. U fotografmi? Biz ekskursavodmizmi? Are we tour guides? Yes, we are. Ha, biz ekskursavodmiz. Or yo'q, biz ekskursavod emasmiz. Siz sartaroshsizmi? Siz sartaroshmisiz, we say. Or siz sartaroshsizmi? We say siz also. Siz sartaroshmisiz? Are you, like as a group, if you wanted to ask them, right? Are you robbers? Yes, we are. Biz sartaroshmiz. Ular tadbirkorlar. In a declarative sentence, right? But if I wanted to ask, ular tadbirkorlarmi? Look how the sentences are built. In English, we're asking, are they business people or businessmen, right? And here we're using they first. Ular tadbirkorlarmi? Ha, ular tadbirkorlar, or ular tadbirkorlar emas. Ular tadbirkor emaslar. I hope it is clear. Feel free again to stop, go back if you want to check in the beginning how we made sentences in a negative way, so you can take a look and again repeat and play. Now I want to use future tense, kelas zaman. In order to build kelas zaman, we use again the verb to be, bo'lmoq. And here we say, I will be. Men bo'laman. Bo'laman. Okay? Men askar bo'laman. I will be a soldier. If you wanted to ask a question, you can say, men askar bo'lamanmi? Will I be a soldier? Sen geologmisan? Or sen geolog bo'lasanmi in future tense? Will you be a geologist? Sen geolog bo'lasanmi? You see, here how we're building. You're using men and then you're using your noun, right, or occupation, and then the verb to be. Sen geolog bo'lasanmi? Here, bo'la. We're using again. Bo'lasanmi? U photograph bo'ladimi? Will she be a photographer? Biz ekskursovod bo'lamizmi? Again, we're using bo'lamizmi, right? Siz or sizlar tadbirkorlar sizmi? Siz tadbirkormisiz, we can say. Siz tadbirkorsizmi? Will you? If I wanted to use in future tense, I say biz ekskursovod bo'lamizmi? Will we be? Or siz tadbirkorlar bo'lasizmi? Or siz tadbirkor bo'lasizmi? If you're talking to one person. Ular qutqaruvchilarmi? Ular in the present tense, right? In the future tense, we say ular qutqaruvchi bo'ladilarmi? Here we say bo'ladilarmi? Bo'lasizmi? Bo'lamizmi? Bo'ladilarmi? Okay. Will they be? Here an exception. Ular qutqaruvchi bo'ladilarmi? Because we cannot say bo'lala, right? Bo'ladilarmi. Okay. Also, not only you could use I will be to be in the future tense, you could say I would like to be somebody, right? Bo'lmoqchi. In order to build I would like, we're just changing again the same bo'l, but we're saying moqchi. Your moqchi means would like. Men askar bo'lmoqchiman. Men, your occupation or profession, and then bo'lmoqchi, would like. Men qutqaruvchi bo'lmoqchiman. Sen muallif bo'lmoqchisan. U, for example, he or she would like to be, let's say, sartarosh. U sartarosh bo'lmoqchi. He would like to be a barber. Biz tadbirkor or tadbirkorlar bo'lmoqchimiz. We would like to be business women or men. Siz qutqaruvchi bo'lmoqchimisizlar? Or siz qutqaruvchi bo'lmoqchimisiz? If you're asking a question. But if you wanted to say siz qutqaruvchi bo'lmoqchisiz, you would like to be lifeguards, right? Ular muallif bo'lmoqchilar. Ular mualliflar bo'lmoqchilar. They would like to be authors. If you wanted to ask a question now, with would like, you say ular mualliflar bo'lmoqchilarmi? Again, we're using m at the end here, the same thing. Men sartarosh bo'lmoqchimanmi? Would I like to be a barber, for example? Okay, next slide. In the next slide, let's talk about different occupations here. Secretary, we say katib. Okay, let's say men katibman. Men katibman. I'm a secretary. Where again, I'm trying to revise here, right? Trying to summarize and remember what we have covered so far. But the questions could be different. Not only am I, right? We can say, siz kim bo'lib ishlaysiz? I can ask you, siz kim bo'lib ishlaysiz? What is your profession or occupation, right? Where do you work? Sizning kasbingiz nima? Sizning kasbingiz nima? And they're all the same. We're talking about occupation, your job, your work. Sizning mutaxassisligingiz nima? Mutaxassislik means expertise, okay? Sizning mutaxassisligingiz nima? Siz doktormisiz? Siz uchuvchimisiz? Siz professormisiz? Siz kimsiz? Who are you? Okay? And now you could say men iqtisodchiman, men biologman, u kassir. She is a cashier, for example. U novvoy. Or we say pishiriqchi, tort pishiruvchi, okay? Pazanda, we also use the word pazanda, baker. But novvoy, usually the person who bakes bread. Novvoy hona, again, remember we talked about hona is a place like sartarosh hona, novvoy hona, place where we cook, we bake. U avtobus haydovchisi. He is a bus driver. U avtobus haydovchisi. Okay. He is a fisherman. U baliqchi. Baliq means fish. Baliqchi means a person. Usually when you see chi, when we refer to somebody, right? Baliqchi, qiziqchi, somebody who makes fun. Aircraft pilot, uchuvchi. U uchuvchi. He is a pilot, aircraft pilot, or right? Uchuvchi. Uchmoq from the verb to fly. Okay. Let's say men pochta tashuvchisiman. I'm a male, right? Male means so pochta here will be post office. Pochta means also post office, but pochta tashuvchisi, you're male. Pochta carrier. U siyosatchi. U siyosatchi. He is a politician. Or biz siyosatchimiz. Ular siyosatchilar. They are politicians. Sen optiksan. Men optikada ishlayman. If you wanted to say the place, right? So we could say optic place. So men professorman, or u professor. He is professor. So the same thing, you could ask several questions I just provided, because maybe when you're traveling to Uzbekistan, people may ask you, sizning kasbingiz nima? Kasb means your occupation. Ishlamoq means to work, right? Siz kim bo'lib ishlaysiz? What is your profession? Where do you work? Sizning mutaxassisligingiz. Mutaxassis means expertise. What is your expertise? Okay. Siz kimsiz? Siz kimsiz? Who are you? So do the same thing, play, go back. I think it will be fun. Now let's talk about the verb to like. Okay, to like, yoqadi. We use it with yoqadi. Menga something yoqadi. For example, in the example of Kasblar. Sizga qaysi kasb yoqadi? Remember, kasb means occupation. What profession or occupation do you like? To like means yoqadi, yoqmoq. Menga, we usually say yoqadi. And then here, as you can see, remember we talked about kelishklar. And when we use kelishklar, here is dative. We use our dative, so suffix ga, to personal pronouns. Men, siz, sen, u, biz, siz, ular, for example, right? I miss sen. Menga, senga, unga, siz, bizga, sizlarga, ularga. We cannot say men yoqadi. We always have to use in a dative, okay? We have to add dative suffix, which ga, remember? Kimga, nimaga, menga, senga, unga, bizlarga or bizga, sizga, sizlarga, ularga. I like something. Although we say I like, here we say Menga yoqadi, something that I like. Okay. Menga geologlar yoqadi or geolog kasbi yoqadi. I like geologists or I like the occupation of geologist. Senga fotograf yoqadi. You like photographer. Unga mualliflar yoqadi. He or she likes authors, for example. Or you could say menga muallif kasbi yoqadi. I like the position or the occupation of the author, right? The same thing you can use with plural form. Bizga tadbirkorlar yoqadilar. We like business men or women. Sizlarga qutqaruvchilar yoqadi yoki sizlarga qutqaruvchi kasbi yoqadi. Now, let's pay attention here and use new kasblar. New kasblar, yangi kasblar means new occupations. Men chilangarman. Chilangar means plumber. Okay. Sen oshpazsan. Oshpaz, who? Cook. U journalist. U muxbir yoki jurnalist. Muxbir yoki jurnalist. U sudya. He is a judge, for example. I am a butcher, for example. Qassob. 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 Surgeon. She is a surgeon, for example, right? U jarroh. U jarroh. Or you could say u jarroh bo'lib ishlaydi. She works or he works as a surgeon. Men kutubxonachiman. Men kutubxonada ishlayman. I'm a librarian. I work at the library. Kutubxona, remember kutubxona here. Library, kutubxonachi, the person. U psixolog or ruhshunos, we say. Psychologist. She is a psychologist. Now, remember, we talked about so'roq gap, interrogative sentence, or if we want to make a question. So we say, men muxbirmanmi? Am I a journalist? Sen kutubxonachimisan? Or kutubxonachi bo'lib ishlaysanmi? Are you a librarian? Right? U psixologmi? U psixologmi? So here we're adding ma if we wanted to make a question, right? Men oshpazman, we say here, right? But if you wanted to make a sentence, interrogative sentence, you could say men oshpazmanmi? Men oshpazmanmi? Let me use here to show it to you. Okay. Men oshpazmanmi? Sen psixologsanmi? Or psixologmisan? You can also say psixologmisan. Remember, I used several times. Your sen, personal pronoun, your noun, and then san if we're asking a question. U ruhshunosmi? Just am I here again. Biz sudyamizmi? Or biz sudyalarmizmi? Again. Are we judges? The same thing here. You could say siz muxbirmisizlar. You could use me here. Or you could say siz muxbirsizlarmi? Ular, we use for example oshpazlar. Ular oshpaz. larmi or ular oshpazmilar. Usually we say ular, let me just write it. Ular oshpaz, and oshpaz means cook, right? Oshpazmilar. So you can see that we can use in both ways. Okay. Next. Let's practice here. Okay. The same occupations. For example, I am coming and saying Assalamu alaikum. And remember, Assalamu alaikum from Arabic means peace be upon you. In Uzbekistan, it means also greeting, right? And we reply wa alaikum assalam. Assalamu alaikum. Wa alaikum assalam. The person replies to me, may peace be upon you. Then I can ask, siz kimni kutyapsiz? Siz kimni kutyapsiz? In order to practice, you can go ahead and practice here. You can use anyone. And I used, for example, men sudyani kutyapman. Who are you waiting for? Siz kimni kutyapsiz? Kim means who. Sudya, you see my noun, sudya kim? Sudya kim? Jarrah kim? Psicholog kim? Ruhshunos kim? Jarrah. Men ruhshunosni kutyapman, men sudyani kutyapman, men jurnalistni kutyapman. I'm waiting for the person. You can do the same thing and repeat here. Or you could go back and practice menga jarrohlik yoqadi. Or men jarroh kasbini yoqtiraman. Menga jarrohlar yoqadi. I'm just referring to this, if you wanted to practice like, you could say the same thing here. Menga psixologlar yoqadi. I like psychologists, for example, right? Menga oshpazlik yoqadi. If you wanted to say as an occupation, I like, okay, to be a cook or just the cook of the position of cook. Next. Memor, architect. Memor, oshpaz. Again, you can practice. Men, memorman. Sen, oshpazsan. U, tishfokora, dentist. U, she is a dentist. U, olim. He is a scientist. Biz, hayvonlar doktori. Some people may call veterinariya shifokora or hayvonlar shifokora or doktori. Men aktyorman. U aktyor. She is a pharmacist, for example. U farmaceut. Men ofitsiantman. I'm a waiter. Men ofitsiantman. Okay. Now, the same occupations, but let's try to use them in a sentence. Again, I tried to type so you remember and practice again. Men, memorman, okay? Or if you wanted to say, no, I'm not. Men, memor emasman. Men, tishfokor emasman. Sen, olim emassan. Sen, ofitsiant emassan. U, aktyor emas. U, aktyor emas. Biz olimlar emasmiz. Biz oshpazlar emasmiz. Siz oshpaz emassiz. Ular tish shifokori emaslar. Or tish shifokorlari emaslar. Because we're using here lar, okay, you don't have to use shifokorlari, but in plural though, dentists, you say tish shifokorlari, okay? In plural form, I'll just make a note here, we say lar. Remember? Okay. But you don't have to say it, or you can say it's not a big mistake. So you could say ular shifokorlari emaslar, or ular shifokori emaslar. If I wanted to say in a respective way, and I would just say to the person, right? Ular shifokori emaslar. Ular shifokorlari emaslar. Next, we have, this is our, I think, final slide. If I wanted to say teacher or tutor, educator, I say o'qituvchi, domla, muallima. Remember that I talked about? That means female. If I don't use then it means male. U, domla. Although you may say Dilnoza, we have here, right? It's an exception, domla. It could be for male. So muallim, male, muallima, female. Mien, muallima man. U, muallima. Mien, muhandis man. Engineer, muhandis. Okay, it's engineer. Mien, advocat man, or mien, jurist man. Mien, huquqshunos man. It could be like lawyer, attorney, right? Mien bugalter man, or mien bugalter emas man. U bugalter. Mien bugalter emas man. Mien bugalter man mı? Yok, mien bugalter emas man. U bugalter, u hisobchi, or hisobchi. Men dehqonman. Men dehqonmanmi? Yo'q, men dehqon emasman. U, for example, shifokor, or therapist we call physician. Or doctor, shifokor, therapist, right? We could say she is a physician. Is she a physician? No, she's not a physician. We could use the same thing, for example. Oh, man, he is a firefighter. Is he a firefighter? No, he's not a firefighter. U o't o'chiruvchi. U o't o'chiruvchimi? Yo'q, u o't o'chiruvchi emas. U politsiyachimi? Ha, u politsiyachi. Because we're referring to the person, right? He's doing some work. Okay, so we're using the same occupation here, but I wanted to make a little dialogue here. For example, you can say, Menga yurist kerak edi. If you're visiting Uzbekistan and you need, and hope you will not need it, but menga yurist kerak edi. Iltimos, menga topishga yordam bera olasizmi? I need a lawyer. Can you help me find one? Qayerdan yuristni topsam bo'ladi? Where can I find a lawyer? And the same thing, you can change any kasb occupation, okay? So, menga o'qituvchi kerak edi. For example, you're going and say, menga ingliz tili o'qituvchi kerak edi, or menga o'zbek tili o'qituvchi kerak edi. I need an Uzbek language teacher, for example. Iltimos, please, menga topishga yordam bera olasizmi? Topmoq means to find, okay? Yordam means help here. Yordam means help. Menga topishga yordam bera olasizmi? Can you help me find one? Qayerdan yuristni topsam bo'ladi? Qayerdan o'qituvchini topsam bo'ladi? Here, somebody, right? So any occupation you're using, you can use politsiyani, o't o'chiruvchini, dehqonni, hisobchini, yuristni, muhandisni, injenerni, o'qituvchini topsam bo'ladi. Where can I find a and whoever you're looking for? Uzr, men hech kimni bilmayman. I'm sorry, I don't know anyone. Mening do'stim yurist, or if you wanted to say my friend is a lawyer and I'll give you his contact information. Mening do'stim yurist. Okay, or mening do'stim o'qituvchi, mening do'stim politsiyachi, mening do'stim dehqon, mening do'stim hisobchi, mening do'stim muhandis. Men, for example, sizga ularni ma'lumotlarini beraman. I will give you his contact information. Sizga ularni ma'lumotlarini beraman. I will give you his information. And finally, we have here bog'bon. Bog'bon. Bog'bon is a gardener. Okay. Men bog'bonman. U bog'bon. Men parhezshunosman. I'm a dietitian. Men sozandaman. Men musiqachiman. I'm a musician. U farrosh. U farrosh. She's a cleaner. Or tozalovchi, we say. Tozalamoq as a verb means to clean. Okay, but cleaner, tozalovchi. Remember again, ch is always when we want to name a person and his position, what he's doing, like his occupation. Tozalamoq, tozalovchi. O't o'chiruvchi, politsiyachi. G'isht teruvchi, for example, bricklayer, right? G'isht means brick. Writer, yozuvchi. Right, to write means yozmoq as a verb. Yozuvchi, the person who writes. Flight attendant, stewardessa. Men stewardessaman. Men stewardessa emasman. Men stewardessamanmi? Yo'q, men stewardessa emasman. You can do the same thing again. Go back, practice your negative sentences, interrogative sentences, and I think you should be very good by now using birlik, ko'plik in plural, right? And in singular, all your personal pronouns. Also, you should be able now to use all of the occupations you know in Uzbek. You can make present tense, past tense, future tense, and also you could make your sentences as to be, right, using expressions was to be in as make declarative, and then you can make in kor gap, you can make negative sentences and so'roq gap, right, interrogative sentences. Let's practice our final slide here, the one that we just talked about, bog'bon, musiqachi, for example. Bog'bon bo'lish uchun nima qilishim kerak? What should I do or can I do to be a gardener? Bog'bon bo'lish uchun nima qilishim kerak? Again, you can use any occupation and say, yozuvchi bo'lish uchun nima qilishim kerak? Here. Yozuvchi bo'lish uchun nima qilishim kerak? Here, qilish kerak means should do or what can I do? Okay, and again, you can use any occupation here. Farrosh bo'lish uchun nima qilishim kerak? Sozanda bo'lishim uchun qaysi universitetga topshirsam bo'ladi? Or kirishim kerak. Kirish means enter or apply for, right? What university should I apply for in order to be a musician, for example? Or what university should I apply for in order to be a steward, like in a flight attendant? Stewardessa bo'lishim uchun qaysi universitetga topshirishim kerak bo'ladi? Or topshirsam bo'ladi? Or kirishim kerak? Men bu kitobning muallifi bo'lamanmi? If you wanted to ask, will I be an author of this book too? Men bu kitobning muallifi bo'lamanmi? If you wanted to use as an interrogative sentence, okay? I hope you enjoyed today's lesson, and I will see you next time. Shu bilan, xayr.